Hello and welcome to a new Halloween special episode of Real Spooky Stories. This is a safe and non-judgmental space where I tell your strange and spooky stories. If you'd like to share your story, no matter how small you may think it is, please email jade@crypticcoven.uk or I will link below how you can email also. So this is a special Halloween episode as it is Halloween on Thursday, so happy Halloween. So I've took these stories from Reddit and they're going to be Halloween related stories. I will link them all below in case you want to read into them further or just have a look at the comments or anything like that. So I've got a few stories for you today, so make sure you listen to the end so you hear them all. And let's get into the stories. So the first story is taken from the Reddit Ghost Stories and it is called Unexplainable Halloween Night for Me and My Siblings. It all happened about 13 years ago. I was about 14 years old and I will always remember that late evening. A bit of context first. We are 8 siblings, 4 girls, 4 boys, raised only by mum. Dad walked out on us a few years prior to the event I'm about to tell. We grew up quite modest. Mum was the only breadwinner, we didn't have a lot and we were living in a rental that was just a bathroom, a small hallway, a living room that doubled as a bedroom for the girls and mum, and a kitchen that also doubles as a bedroom for the boys. Anyway, we were a content Christian family. It was the 31st of October and we were only 7 at home. My older sister was out and mum was at work. Me being the second one, I was in charge. It was about 7 p.m. and we were all in the living room minding our business. Some of us were playing with some toys, I was painting, a few were just watching TV and it was quite peaceful, just waiting for mum to come home. Suddenly, my younger brother said, "Hey guys, do you hear that?" We turned the TV volume down and listened. From across the hallway that were connecting the 2 main rooms, we could all clearly hear a repetitive, high-pitched banging. It was just as like someone was repeatedly hitting a spoon on a cup. We all stood frozen. It went on for a few minutes and then we stopped. All bundled up together, we slowly crept out way to the kitchen. On the table, there was some stuff like the bread, butter, and a jar with a spoon in it. We had just ate and we didn't put the stuff away. We got close and tried to mix the jam with the spoon, and surely enough, it was the same sound. At this point, we didn't know what the deal was and we were really creeped out. The sound we heard couldn't have been produced by something like the wind or exterior forces. It was very deliberate and went on for a few minutes, so not just a spoon falling off or something like that. We put the things away and we went back to the living room. That's when the horror really started. I kid you not, around the whole house there was unexplainable bangings. We could hear footsteps in the hallway, above us from the attic, around us from the walls. We all started crying and got in bed, all bundled up, praying. It all went like this for a few minutes and suddenly we heard the house door open. It was Mum, she could just come back from work and it all stopped. Needless to say, we all jumped on her, hugging her and crying. We told her what happened and she was shocked. We never had an experience like that and when we get together we sometimes talk about it. It was one of the most scary things that ever happened to us. We all heard the same things. We didn't see anything but the sounds were real. We think it may have been something like a demonic attack that wanted to create fear in us on one of the darkest nights of the year. That does sound like a really scary story to happen, especially on Halloween night. Like, that's literally like horror movie vibes. And I was actually about to say, I wonder if anything else happened in the house apart from that time. And I just had a quick look at the comments and somebody else actually wrote, "Does anything else paranormal ever happen again in the house? Did you all stay living there?" And this is what they replied. "We all lived there, yes. At the time of this episode, I think we were living there for 2 years and we stayed there for another 3. I don't recall any other episodes and I remember often filming around the house and analysing the footage in search of all the paranormal stuff. The year after the incident, we went into extensive renovations, changing all the furniture, transforming the downstairs storage room into a kitchen and all that, and for the remaining time there, it was quiet. Because of this, I tend not to link the happening with the house." I feel like that makes it a bit more scary because, like, somebody else has commented as well, maybe something followed one of you home, but it was just that night, and I know that Halloween night is like the veil to the other world, to the other side is lowered, so that's actually quite scary. And I mean, like, hopefully you can just put it down to it being Halloween night, but I feel like every Halloween night that came around in future in the house, I would have been like so scared and I would not have stayed on my own. But yeah, it's a little bit scary. So this is now the second story. It is from the Reddit Paranormal Encounters and it is titled Weird Thing That Happens During Halloween in Our Basement 1 to 2 years ago. I know this sounds fake because it happened during the days that led up to Halloween, but this is definitely real and shook my family for a while, although it's not very scary and sounds like the beginning of a trash horror film. Around the second week before Halloween, the cameras set up in my basement detected activity. So did our motion sensors in the middle of the night, around 12 p.m. We would later call the police and notify them that there may have been an intruder in our basement. Our camera didn't show any movement, however. The police officer would enter the basement to find that there was no one there and we went to bed. The occurrence would happen again at night. Same thing happened except later in the night, around 1 a.m. Basement cameras and motion detection caught something. We'd call the police again and nothing would come up. So context here before I continue. We use an Apple Home system and we have an Apple TV. If anyone is ringing the doorbell or if there's activity in our living room, the camera footage will pop up on our TV. In this case, every evening and night. In the basement camera would show detection and footage on the TV, but we didn't see squat. It always popped up on our screen 2 to 3 times a day. It was on October 31st, Halloween, that my parents started becoming fearful. Being the heavily religious Hindus they are, they stuck Siri HomePod downstairs to play their Hanuman Chalisa, sorry if I've said that wrong, or our version of warding off evil downstairs on repeat. The activity never came back again. I can go down in the basement without fear now, thankfully. Strange thing is that our house is brand new. It was constructed a mere 4 years ago and no one has lived here prior. Additionally, we had experienced zero paranormal activity prior to this. Nowadays, me and my family laugh it off and I have a story to tell people, but then it was pretty scary and my first paranormal experience. I really wish I knew what was happening in my basement. So this was a bit of a scary one again, which actually happened on Halloween night. I was just looking at the comments as well, and somebody said, like, in terms of the age of the house, something good came with you to the house when you moved in. It may be on the land, and the OP, which is the person who posted the original story, has commented back. I just want to read what they've commented back. I'm not sure. My mum has always had a knack for seeing shadow figures or some sort of paranormal activity in her life. Maybe she brought something. Our old house was old, but no activity, and our land used to be empty farmland, so I have no idea what it could be. My parents think that a lot of negative energy accumulated in our home, but personally, I'm looking for a more grounded explanation. This does sound a bit scary. As for, like, the motion cameras, I'm just wondering, like, so you did call the police, but also nothing was there. Like, I don't know if that's, like, more scary or less scary, because paranormal side, if that was, like, an intruder or something, they could have just been hiding. I mean, obviously, if the police came, they would have found someone, but if it popped up all the time, imagine if, like, someone was living there and they just kept popping up. But if you didn't see anything on the cameras, then it mustn't have been. But also, a few people have said this in the comments, and I was thinking it as well. Basements are quite dusty and, like, old, and it could have been, I was thinking of, like, maybe bugs just flying past or something, because by the time a bug's flew past and probably the motion picture has came up, you won't probably see anything. And we've got, like, the Ring doorbell and everything, and other cameras around the house, and they do pick up, like, bugs flying past and stuff, and, like, a bird or stuff. I think you can change the sensitivity and stuff on them, but anyway, going off topic for Ring doorbell. This is not a sponsored Ring doorbell advert, but no, especially if it's popping up, like, 2 to 3 times a day on the telly as well. Imagine if something was there, like, what would you even do on Halloween? I'd probably think it was a joke, and I'd be like, oh, who's in the basement, who's playing a trick on us? And people also said about this, but they put back saying it only happened on that day, which is Halloween. So as I said for the previous story, the veil is lowered on Halloween day, so it could have been something else. And also, your mum has always had seeing shadow figures or some sort of paranormal activity in her life. I want to know more about this, please. Like, what? I think you need to do a separate post. That actually already might be a separate post on this, but I don't think there is. Okay, let's go on to the third story. So this one is again from the Paranormal Encounters Reddit community, and it is titled, I Saw a Ghost. Hello, this is my first Reddit post, but I figured I'd share my story to get some input on what others believe. This incident happened in 2022, Halloween night. How fitting. Me and my boyfriend at the time had gone to sleep after attending a Halloween party. I had only about 3 drinks earlier in the night, so by the time we walked home and went to sleep, I felt pretty sober. Anyways, at some point in the night, I had randomly woken up and turned over to my left side, the side of the bed my boyfriend at the time was sleeping on. That is when I opened my eyes and saw a man standing next to the bed, staring at my boyfriend. When I saw him, I wasn't startled or scared, kind of like it instantly clicked in my brain that this wasn't a physical person who had broken into my house. He seemed to be mid-30s, wearing a red hoodie, black leatherish vest, and a black cap which was half covering his face. When I saw him, I lifted my head up, kind of in shock and confusion. The man then looked at me briefly before slowly beginning to walk around the foot of the bed towards my bedroom door. As he was walking, I sat up a bit, watching him walk. I was confused as to what I was looking at, so I rubbed my eyes, and even then, I could still see him. That was when I turned to grab my phone and shone the light towards him, and he was gone. I want to make it clear, at no point did I feel scared. His presence felt respectful and peaceful, so much that I didn't think much about it and went straight back to sleep. As I have thought more about this, I believe it was some sort of guardian spirit for my boyfriend at the time, like a respectful spirit that looks over and protects him. I ended up the next morning asking my boyfriend if someone in his family or friend circle, fitting the description of the spirit, had passed away recently, but he said no. I would love to hear people's opinions on this, on who they thought it could have been. Any thoughts are appreciated. Side note, what especially made me feel calm at the time, and also was kind of funny, it was almost like when I first lifted my head, he could tell I saw him and respectfully went to leave the room so I wasn't scared of him. Oh, this one's quite nice, actually. I don't think there's any comments on this. No, there's not. But I feel like that's quite nice. And it's good to know that you weren't instantly scared when you woke up. And you saw him and you weren't scared, even though you knew your boyfriend was lying next to you and it wasn't him. And the description of the clothes sounds quite modern, maybe. With a cap and a red hoodie. I don't think these old-time ghosts are wearing red hoodies. So that's quite nice. And it's nice that you thought that he saw you see him and then went to leave the room. But that's quite nice. And it's nice that you only saw him on that night as well, and it's not a common thing. So I mean, the post doesn't say anything else about the last few years and if they saw it again, but it was Halloween night after a party, so that's quite nice. I don't really have anything else to say about that one. So let's go on to the fourth story now. So this one is again from Paranormal Encounters Reddit, and it's titled, It Wasn't the Moon. On Halloween of 2007, my boyfriend at the time and I had just dropped my little brother off at a Halloween party. I cannot remember where we were driving to, but we were arguing because we had to take my brother when he picked me up. As we argued, I looked out of the passenger window and noticed the full moon. I remember thinking how cool it was to have a full moon on Halloween, when I took my boyfriend in the driver's seat. While he was yelling, I noticed the crescent moon out of his window. I hurried and looked out of my window for the full moon, but it was gone. I went to tell him this when the front of our vehicle was illuminated. We rolled to a stop and both looked up from the windshield. It looked like the moon, maybe the width of the vehicle, bright but as if it was polished silver. I couldn't tell a definite shape, and it was right above us. Close enough that if I climbed into the roof of the car, I might be able to reach it at the lowest. I'm not sure how long it was there, but it slowly moved off over the tree line into the distance. We did end up climbing onto the car roof and watching it till we couldn't see anymore. The strangest part, as if seeing that wasn't, was that there were no other vehicles. We were in the middle of the main road in our small town, and it was maybe 7 p.m. on Halloween night. It wasn't until we could barely see it as a dot in the sky that cars started driving past us. In March of 2009, I saw it again with the same boyfriend, and again we were alone. This time, it was roughly 3 in the morning. I only know this because I could hear the 3 o'clock train go by. We were in our tiny studio apartment in the woods behind a doctor's office. I noticed it first again. It looked like a bright star at first, then I saw it come down through the trees. I thought it might have been a helicopter, but there was no noise. And then it was close enough to see it was just a ball of light, like something polished so much it shone. As it came closer, it was blinding. We both turned our heads and shielded our eyes. I could see our shadows move against the wall inside as if it went through the window into the house. And then it was gone. He ran outside instantly. I hid under a blanket, screaming he was crazy. The next morning, the stream that ran by our apartment stopped perpendicular to the beginning of the home and started again directly after it. I could not see where it was going into the ground or out of, and it wasn't like that the day before. I had strange dreams of this exact thing happening, down to the sound of the train. To me, it reminded me of the scene where the blue fairy came down in Pinocchio. The only difference was that it was a different house in my dreams. We moved out of the apartment exactly 3 weeks later. As we were moving into our home, the deja vu hit so hard I was nauseous. This was the house in my dreams. I've had paranormal things happen to me before, but these were only 2 instances with the same someone and UFO related. Okay, so I didn't really realise this was a UFO one before I started reading it, because I didn't read it beforehand. I just thought it was Halloween related. But I just want to look at the comments, because the comments said, "Funny you say that because we ran into the same type of situation last night with this beautiful strawberry moon. Once it disappeared, we couldn't find it again." And they put a picture up and it was just like a moon reflected on the lake. That's strange. I've never heard that before. Like, they've seen things, and if there was something above the vehicle which was vehicle sized and she felt like she could touch it if she stood on top of the vehicle, that is really strange. But also, I'm not sure what the dream thing has got to do with it. Like, strange dreams, down to the sound of the train, and they were in a different house, and then they ended up moving into the house. That's like kind of a psychic premonition thing. It is weird, and it's weird that it happened on Halloween night as well. Like, if it was aliens, was it like Halloween aliens? Like, did they know it was Halloween? No, I don't know, it just sounds really strange. This next story is from the Ghost Stories Reddit, and the title is called The Haunted Elementary School Bathroom. For some reason, this had been on my mind lately, so I decided to share the story. I started going to a new school in the 2nd grade. The cafeteria was downstairs in the basement, and there was a long empty hallway that led to the 2 bathrooms. I remember the first time I went to the bathroom there. Nobody told me it was haunted, so on the first day of 2nd grade, I ventured down the hall to go to the bathroom. As I made my way towards it, I kept hearing this noise, ooh, ooh. When I approached the doorway, so much negative energy hit me and I knew not to go in there. I ran back to the cafeteria, told some girls about it, and they told me it was haunted. We were all terrified of this bathroom. The boys said their bathroom was fine, but that the girls' bathroom down there also freaked them out. It got so bad we had to have the principal come talk to our class about it. Everyone knew it was haunted. Flash forward to 3rd grade. It was Halloween and I was the first student in the classroom. Every Halloween we had a parade outside where we marched around in our costumes. I began putting my costume on over my clothes, and I noticed a piece of paper folded up on my desk. It caught my eye. I don't know how to describe it, but it was folded strangely. I picked it up, unfolded it, and in faint handwriting was, "If you dare to go into the bathrooms downstairs, I'll kill you." I can't make this up. I was the first student in the room. The previous day, I left school in line with everybody else. Once more kids came into the classroom. I told my friends, and they were more scared than I was. They made me tell the teacher. You could tell she thought it was odd, but she crumpled up the paper and threw it away. And that's the last time I saw it. I went in the bathroom again, but only in large groups. We used to have a thing called field day where we played outside all day at the end of the school year. One day on field day, me and about 10 other girls had to go to the bathroom, so we all teamed up and went to the one downstairs. I remember leaning up against the wall and feeling and hearing something as if someone was banging on the wall with an axe. We all heard it and it was uncomfortably loud. Also have to add that no one ever went in the last stall, but this day a girl did. It had cobwebs all over it and everything. Then one night I was at the school for a concert. This was towards the end of 5th grade, so I was brave enough to go there by myself. I was kind of curious. I went down the hall and as usual, the ooh could be heard a mile away. I went into the bathroom, but I just kind of stood around and didn't actually go in a stall or anything. Suddenly I just got scared and ran towards the door, but I was surprised when I bumped into a rather strange lady with long grey hair, a scarf partially covering her head and face. I just brushed by her and ran. Also, the lights have turned off when I was in that bathroom. The energy in there just is insane. You feel in danger. The girls would cry and sob because they didn't want to have to use the bathroom. The loud, overwhelming oohs and the occasionally banging noises. The unused last stall, that door was always shut. The scratches on the mirror, the old poster that hung on the wall. It was just creepy. Maybe the note was a prank, but I do know that the bathroom is haunted. That does sound very scary, especially for a kid's bathroom in a school as well. I feel like I remember my primary school bathroom and it was just, like, the vibe was just scary. Like, it didn't feel scary or anything. It was just the look of it and, like, the feel of it. Just weird. And I think it's a thing of, like, kids just to say their bathroom is haunted. Like, I don't know why everyone always says there's, like, a haunted, like, a ghost or whatever in the bathroom. But if you actually all heard things and that loud, weird noise, maybe that was, like, the wind coming through one of the windows in there or something, and it sounded weird. But, I mean, obviously, you were saying 5th grade, so that's, like, how old are you then, like, 9 or 10? I feel like you're old enough then to kind of know if that was something else, but still, in a spooky room and a noise like that, it's not nice. And I'm sorry, what was the axe about? Like, hitting the axe against the wall, it sounded like. What? Like, if that was me and the teachers, I feel like it sounded like the teachers believed it as well. Like, you said the principal had to come and talk to the class. I wonder if you meant, like, he had to come and tell you off and say, stop being silly, it's a bathroom, or, like, he was kind of reassuring, like, he knew something was weird in there. I don't know. But surely they would just close it if it was like that. But then it would probably be, like, more people would want to go in and, like, the kids would want to sneak in and stuff. But yeah, it sounds really weird. I wonder if the axe, like, what was the building before a school? I always say this. What was the building before the school, like, or what was next to the school, or what is next to that room now? Like, could it have been someone in the room next to it that was, like, doing something in, like, a filing cabinet and it sounded like a loud bang or something? I don't know. I'm just trying to debunk things. But if all of you heard it at the same time, and I feel like if a group of girls making each other be like, it's haunted, I feel like that the energy of being scared just gets built up more, if that makes sense. So I feel like I even believe it now, and I wasn't there, and I'm scared to go in that bathroom, and I don't even know where it is, and I'm probably never going to go there. But yeah, so a little bit scary. Anyway, thank you so much for listening to the Halloween episode of Real Spooky Stories. I will link all 5 of these episodes below, so you can read them yourself, look at the comments, whatever. I did, like, change some of the words and stuff in them just because they were a bit weird and explicit. So if you're reading it and you're like, that did not get said, then that's why. I mean, I didn't change, like, sentences or nothing. I just literally didn't say some words or whatever. Anyway, I'll link them below. But thanks so much, and I hope you have a happy Halloween. Again, as always, if you would like to share your story, please don't hesitate to email me on jade@cryptocoven.uk. Follow me on Instagram at realspooky.stories. I also have a link in my bio, and I'll link it below, which you can submit your story to my Reddit community, Real Spooky Stories, or you can just DM me. You can do whatever, yeah. So I look forward to hearing from you, and I will see you next time. Bye.